Hey everyone, TG here, and let's see, that is February 23rd right now, and you guys are going to be watching this on February 24th, which is Wednesday. This is going to be on YouTube and Facebook and Periscope, and it's because I had to do a pre-recorded one because my girlfriend and I are actually in Tahoe right now. We're going to be going skiing. So at the time you guys are listening to this, I will be flying down the slopes, hopefully enjoying myself and not breaking any legs. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that we had something out there for you because the markets are moving a lot, and there's definitely a lot to talk about. So we're going to be taking the next, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or something like that, and kind of walking you through what's been happening and kind of what I think might be happening Wednesday and then for the rest of the week. So I'm going to have to make some predictions here. What we've been seeing. Also, I did just teach a 5-hour class on Saturday. We had a whole bunch of people in with it and get a lot of really great reviews. The way that I see the market and how I teach people, I think, really opens people's eyes. And so we've just been getting a ton of emails of people saying like, "Hey, this was a really good class. I really do appreciate your style," all that kind of stuff. So we're going to drop some links there. If you guys are still interested, you can. The class is recorded, so you can get that, no problem. And then if you are interested, and we have 2 sets of live trading days coming up. So the first week of March, we're going to have 2 days of live trading if you guys want to sign up for that. And then the second week of March, we're going to have another 2 days of live trading if you guys want to go check that out. So we will make sure you have all the information provided for you for that. What we've been looking at is the markets are obviously generally breaking down, and we've been seeing a lot of that happen in individual names. The market, yeah, you look at the S&P and all the IWM, and it's going down. But man, you look underneath the hood and you see a lot of different tickers out there just getting pummeled today. And we have been seeing that happen. In fact, last week when this was starting, all of my names, like, I was just getting my stops hit left and right. And some people kind of think about their stops getting hit like, oh, I'm a bad trader, or oh, something's going wrong, and oh, I'm losing money. No, it's good. A lot of our stops were profit stops. Some of them were break-even stops, and sure, some of them were a little bit of loss. But that's the whole point of stops, is you just say, wow, I was doing really well. All my positions were doing great, and then all of a sudden something changed, and suddenly all my stops are getting hit. That is the market trying to communicate to you, and it's good, and that's why I use stops, because the fact that everything was clicking off left and right was telling me, oh, I think something serious is happening here. And sure enough, I'm sure you guys see the carnage that's been going on. So I love getting stopped out when the market changes like this because it's a good safety valve. Anyway, what we've been looking at is when I had the class over the weekend, so Saturday, and we were talking about Friday, I said, hey, I think we're going to still go lower. It looks like we're going to keep going lower. Part of what I was seeing as what was really starting this was an inverse trampoline move on the 15-minute time frame. Price was over the 50, but the Moxie indicator was below 0. That is an absolute inverse trampoline move on that time frame. And then you could see we continued to get pushed down by the underside of the 15-minute 50. And I was figuring, yep, we were probably going to go to the daily 50. And for now, we have bounced. I think part of that bounce is just because today was just such an oversold day. Like, we really just dropped down. You can see we went way outside of the third ATR. I was communicating to my subscribers and everything. You can see this, that let's get that to zoom in. That you could see it was a pretty brutal morning with what was going on, and you could see that we dropped down and then we continued to gap down and just outside of that third ATR below the 200, and then we finally hit basically the daily 50. And I said, hey, at some point this thing is going to bounce. That's the way of the market. We know that. You can see it actually did a double bottom and then it rallied into the end of the day. Now, I'm not getting fooled yet. I'm not going bullish yet. I'm not a day trader. This looks to me like that's just the first bounce. We need to see a little bit more certainty before we move up again. And I am wondering that if we do get a move up, which we certainly can because we've come into some support here, what I'm concerned about next is if we start to move up over here and we do actually get over the hourly 50, that's going to put us into an inverse trampoline move on the hourly chart, which is a pretty strong and significant bearish signal. And then we kind of wonder, okay, if that's going to happen, if this thing's really going to roll over, are we going to go lower than the daily 50? And I look at here on the monthly and the weekly time frames, and what we need to be prepared for, let me kind of zoom out a little bit more on the monthly because it'll help show it a little bit, I am concerned that I don't know if we're going to go to the monthly 10. I think that would be a little too much, but we could do kind of what happened before is you just do maybe a little bit of pullback. It takes a few weeks to do that like that. But what if on the weekly time frame, what if the S&P goes to the weekly 21, just kind of like it's done before? That is significant. It's done it all the way back here too. So if the S&P goes to the weekly 21 at some point in the future, that's going to be a problem, and we need to be aware of that situation happening. And then let's kind of take a look at the IWM. And going into Friday and I think Monday, something like that, I really called this. I was telling my subscribers, I said, hey, the IWM is telling me things are really not good, and that's where most of my names were, and that's where we're getting our stops popped off left and right. But this is an inverse trampoline move. For anybody who took the class over the weekend, you guys totally know what I'm talking about, because that is it. And the Moxie indicator and my method and how I teach things keeps you from getting suckered into something like this, because maybe you'd be looking at it and say, oh, price is over the hourly 50. Good, that's strong, let's go. No, instead, you see this and you see the Moxie indicator down here below zero, you start getting either worried or bearish, because that is an inverse trampoline move, and that's a very, very bearish situation. And then I also said I think that the hourly 200 is probably the target. Sure enough, it went right there and then bounced. Let's see if anywhere in through here we do start to kind of get some level, and if we bounce up. But again, if we start heading over the hourly 50, a downtrending hourly 50 no less, and the Moxie indicator is below zero like this, then we can go lower after we bounce, and that's what I'm very cognizant of. And you look here, we could still be going down to the daily 50. On that. Now, I don't know what the weekly is going to do. The weekly kind of looks like the S&P is also, so I don't know where it's going to go, but first target after this is the daily 50. So do watch out for that. And if we look at the NASDAQ, tech always gets hit the hardest on a pullback like this. They go up like rockets and they fall like rocks. So that was a pretty big deal. And I was guiding my subscribers over the weekend or Friday and all that also, and I said that the NASDAQ already ran right into the underside of the hourly 50 with the Moxie indicator below zero. These are extremely clear signals with Moxie and how I trade and how I teach, and you can see price got rejected by the 15-minute 50 and then did an inverse trampoline move on the 15-minute time frame as well. And then clearly there's a huge gap between price and the daily 50, and it went well beyond that. So that's just the NASDAQ. It tends to move faster and more anyway. So then what we have to do is look here and say, okay, on the weekly, it basically already went to the weekly 21. So, I do think that there's going to be a bounce coming, but we need to be very careful about what that bounce goes into. And, maybe you need to short the bounce, or just understand that any kind of bounce is kind of running into resistance, and that could be an issue. Now, the UVXY is another one that I look at. This is the triple leverage of volatility. And this gives me kind of clues as to what's going on and how much we need to worry. And timing, it helps me a lot with timing, like when is the big drop going to happen. And look at this volume. You see how in the last, I think it was 9 or 10 days, volume has significantly increased. Like we look here, volume has significantly increased for a sizable number of days. So we really need to pay attention to that. People out there who know more than we do, like funds and stuff, it looks to me like they're starting to hedge. They're starting to load up on this stuff. Price is coming down, Moxie indicators coming up. We have run into the underside of the hourly 50 a couple times, but it looks like it's starting to get weaker. I think the next step is that price will get up over the hourly 50, and then what we need to do is watch out to see if price actually uses the hourly 50 for support, and then that's where we're going to get a big move. So do keep watching the UVXY to see when it sets up, because when it sets up, that's probably when a big move in the market to the downside is going to happen. Some of the other short names that we've seen, this was another clear one. I had people asking me, hey, how does Roku look? And I said, either short it or get the heck out of the way, because just like what I was talking about with the IWM and some of these other indices, I said it's an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. Again, anybody who took the class over the weekend and should be all over this kind of stuff. If you're in this name, you need to get the heck out. or if you want to trade this name and you like to short, then you look at these as golden opportunities. And this is everything that we covered for 5 hours in the class, and I think people are seeing the market in a much clearer way because of this. And look at this giant gap between price and the daily 50. Where did price go right now? Went right to the daily 50. So let's see what it does to bounce, and if there's going to be more issues later. So I do think that a bounce is setting up. I don't quite see it yet. There's no way I can take a long yet. I can't zoom in on this for some reason, but I can't take a long yet because that'll do it. There we go. Because we're still, the Moxie indicator on the 15 is still so far below zero, and price is still underneath the 15-minute 50. So the kind of bounce I'm talking about still just isn't there yet. We're going to have to take more time to let these things ripen and set up and kind of go through their process in order to get any kind of bounce. And really be very, very careful out there. And then if we look at silver I think is actually one of the few bright spots, no pun intended, as far as what the market goes, and what I think flight to safety, inflation concerns, all that kind of stuff. And so I think silver is actually looking really, really great. And we've been in it for quite some time. We've been in it all the way back down here. And I keep telling my subscribers, like almost every day, I'm like, this thing looks good, this thing looks good. And sure enough, let's see, today was this, so that was Tuesday. So then Monday, we actually had a big move up on silver, and that's great. I love to see that, but I didn't want to add more at that point. I said, look, I'm looking for price to come back down and test these moving averages, and sure enough, we got the test. The Moxie indicators above zero. This actually looks really good. So I bet when you guys see this on Wednesday that this silver should actually be moving pretty nicely. At least that's what I'm hoping. So let's go see if my predictions are correct on this. Then let's go over to GBTC, which is the ETF of Bitcoin. Man, I've been telling you guys about this one too. I said, maybe not on Facebook, but I know I said in the options room, I said, look, this thing's getting stretched. It hasn't touched the hourly 50 for quite some time. The Moxie indicator on the 15 just wasn't looking good. You could even see on Monday, price got underneath the 15-minute 50, and that was it. That was the trigger right there. And then you could just see that price was really just pushed and extended on the daily chart. So, I hope none of this is too much of a surprise to any of you traders out there. If it is, then, may I suggest that you come follow us, come join us at Simpler, follow me. I'm not surprised by this stuff. I see this and it makes sense to me. I can read this stuff like a book, and I just want to make sure that we help you all out there and help make sense of this. I mean, we get emails all the time about people saying just, the clarity that we help give them and the importance that they have with it. So we really do help a lot of people out there. That's our goal, and that's what we're here for. All right, so with that, we'll be looking at Riot, one of the other big name stocks that has just been going crazy. And I had some people asking me if Riot was a good trade right here because it dipped and then bounced, and I said absolutely not. Number one, this thing is still super high up here. I think this was either Monday or late last week. And I said at the time, price is still super far away from the hourly 50. And then I also said, look at this. We had a double top, and look at this negative divergence on the 15. And the Moxie indicator was still below zero. So again, with the inverse trampoline moves, I'm telling you, I love the trampoline moves. Trampoline moves to the upside, inverse trampoline moves to the downside, and it is just nailing them like that. So I told people don't go in on that, and sure enough, this thing rolled over. So that's good. Once we get through all this, it's good. If you guys can just save your account, make sure you protect yourself, keep your powder dry. Pullbacks like this, brutal pullbacks like this, are good because that means we can now go shopping at some point. So you just sit out for a little bit. It happens to be a really good timing. I'm up here in Tahoe skiing, and this is fantastic. I'm really not worried about anything because I'm mostly in cash and just sitting on the sidelines. There might be a bounce this week, but it's not the kind of bounce that I'm really super interested in catching because this stuff just still has more time to shake itself out. We're seeing some divergences on the 15 here with Cron. So the cannabis sector is even getting hit, but we're still not set up. It's still underneath the 15-minute 50. It's in a downtrend. The hourly is still anywhere close to getting set up for a long trend, and it has only just now touched the daily 50, and that was a big gap right there. So, this is going to take time. I don't think anything for the kind of moves that I really want to catch, I don't think anything's going to happen this week. So, piece of cake and a great time to go skiing. And if we even look at Tesla, if I can type it correctly, So Tesla, I think people maybe thought Tesla could never go down, and well, of course, every stock can go down. And this thing was just super overbought. I mean, look at this even on the monthly and the weekly. I mean, the monthly has been overbought for so long. The weekly tends to kind of hop out of its third ATR, pull back, and like, look at this thing. It just was super, super up there, and finally it's coming back. And really, it's just kind of coming back into reality here on the daily 21, and then weekly 21, and then here on the hourly. We were talking about here price like this right here. When price bounced off of the daily 50, I guess news was coming around, or Kathy Wood was being interviewed, of ARK, and she was saying, I still really like Tesla. And people were saying, oh, Kathy Wood just reiterated that she liked Tesla, and so people are buying it, and that's what's moving up. It's like, no, because, give it 2 months from now, we're not going to know that anybody said anything right here. We're not going to know that bit of news. We're only going to see what the chart did. And sure, the chart price bounced for 3 days on the daily 50 and then ran right smack into the underside of the downtrending moving average. And look how the Moxie indicator was below zero this whole time. So you just step aside. You're not in something like this. There's no opportunity to go long on this, and you just get out and move aside. And then you let things like this happen, and these are super oversold, like really, really oversold. I mean, look how far outside of the third ATR this thing is, and here on the daily chart too. But I'm not one to just buy something just because it's super overbought or oversold, because you guys probably could have thought this was overbought or oversold here, but then it just went even lower. So we have to wait until these things actually shape up and actually start finding support and actually start moving up. So there's nothing for me to do. I'm not going to step in and just buy a dip or buy a low just like this, maybe day traders or short-term traders, but nothing for a new trend, not for me. NEO is basically the same. Apple, we look at that, it's just been falling off. In fact, I've been talking about this since, let's kind of zoom in here. So this one I've actually been looking at here. This was an inverse trampoline move. Man, I've been talking about this one for what, two weeks now, I suppose. I just didn't see anything to enter, and I kept looking, saying, I'm not a short trader, so I'm only looking long, and I think, okay, well, maybe price is going to bounce here, but I don't see anything yet. Maybe it's going to hold, but I don't care if it doesn't, because I'm not in it. I'm not trying to trade that way. And you can just see it never held any moving averages, and so it just kept cascading down. You just step aside, you get away from these things, and wait until they look better. You don't have to. I mean, unless you're a short trader, you don't have to be in these things. Now, there are some other pretty good spots. What's interesting is the sector rotation that's been going on. While all my high flyer names, I guess no pun intended with Jets being here, but with all my high flyer names that were getting stopped out last week and getting me out of the market safely, all the reopening names, airlines, cruise lines, hotels, casinos, entertainment, restaurants, all of them have actually been really moving. And so it was about right in here that I was busy with my names getting stopped out, and so I just wasn't in phase with these things. And of course, when you're getting stopped out, you're not exactly inclined to just change gears super quick and go find something bullish and jump in it, because you're thinking, oh, everything's rolling over. So it is interesting to see where money has gone, and you can see that clearly these things have been where the strength is. But that doesn't mean you can go buy it. There's no way I'm going to go buy it up here. There is no way I'm going to buy it up here, because they are super extended. I mean, they are way up in outer space as far as these charts go. So they've had their time. I missed it because I was busy elsewhere, and just missed it. So at this point, there's nothing to do here. If you were in it, great. You should start taking profits. But if you're not, there's just no opportunity. And if we look at Wynn, look at one of the casinos that we can kind of look at, same thing. They've been having a great time. Clearly, money has been going in these things. It's kind of a flight to safety too. There's always a bull market someplace. I mean, you look at the markets are totally rolling over, and yet these things are going skyward. But there's no opportunity anymore. The only opportunity that I would have had is right here where the Moxie price trigger was, and then right here where price bounced off of the hourly 50. And I was busy elsewhere at that time, so there's just no opportunity anymore here. Now we have to wait. And then RCL is kind of just another example of that. Cruise lines were having a great time. And I did see these things setting up, but at the time that they were setting up, my names were still doing fine, so I didn't have any opportunity to take these. But look, here's your double bottom, there's your positive divergence, and in fact, you guys, I was just talking about this whole session about inverse trampoline moves. Well, here's a regular trampoline move, and I'm telling you, I love the trampoline move. Price below the 50, Moxie indicator above 0. This is why I call it a trampoline move, because it's like you jumped on a trampoline, it shoots you right back up. So the power of an inverse trampoline move, the power of a regular trampoline move, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, and if you're, I don't know, struggling with the market or need some help or just need a little bit of insight, I've got tools, I got methodologies that people, we just had a record class over the weekend, an absolute record class. And I think that people like the way I see things, and so we're just here to help out. I want to make sure everyone is doing well. Have either protect yourself in the market, try and make money in the market, see what you can do, understand how the market works, and if you guys can do that, then you can safely navigate the market, and it actually will be fun and entertaining for you, because I love doing this stuff. It's fun, and yeah, you just eat it up every day. So right now it's kind of a waiting game for me, and we'll see what happens next. But thanks for all tuning in, and we'll see what I'm right on and what I'm wrong on when it comes to this pre-recorded video, and we'll hello from the past. Well, you guys all take care. I'll send some pictures of me out there skiing, having a good time up in Tahoe, and until next time, you guys enjoy the week, and I'll see you later.